Hello and welcome to Bear Necessities. My name is Bear and today we're going to be talking about shamans. So, shamans are one of the subtypes of healers in EQ2. They're armor type. They can equip chain armor. So while Druids can equip leather and Clerics plate, Shamans wear chain. Their healing style is wards. So while they still do have flat heals, which we discussed in the Priest Basics video. If you haven't watched that, I'll link to it in the description. You should probably watch that first. You essentially get a or the way that shamans work in general is they ward against damage. So as you can see, I'm putting these wards on me. So I have 840 and then 1446. If I attack something while these wards are on me, you'll see a little green, like dark green number. That means, and you'll see that my HP is not going down at all. It's because the damage is being warded. So yep. Let me kill this fairy real quick, and then we'll move on from there. One thing that you'll notice about Defilers specifically is their damage isn't super great. But yeah, let's continue to talk a little bit about shamans. So we get wards. Generally also shamans get some of the most debuffs. You'll see that the debuffs are very offensive oriented too. They're decreasing haste and DPS, primary stat, max health, primary stat. So you get a lot of debuffs that actually debuff how much damage the mob is actually doing. Another thing is the emergencies on the other healers. Like for example, the emergency heals for Druids are heal over times. The reactives for Clerics, they're actually wards for Shamans. Shamans also get self buffs, so you get this. So shape changes you into Chaos Essence, but you get stamina and wisdom and see invis, and you get some resist out of that. But that's something that Druids and Shamans get, but Clerics do not. You get Spirit of Wolf, just like Druids, so 20% group speed, run speed for your group. Does good in dungeons and things like that where you don't have a mount. And then finally you get Water Walk, which is honestly just a good troll most of the time, but I'll show you. So when you go underwater, instead of just giving enduring breath so people can breathe underwater, you also sink down to the bottom. So why I say it's a good troll is that if you're swimming through water and you turn it on, everyone sinks to the bottom. It's just kind of funny, but it actually makes it like one of the worst enduring breaths, because there will be times where you may need to, I don't know, click a quest item that's like a midway in the water right here, but you can't because you're at the bottom. You'll just have to rely on your breath. So that's kind of all of the things that shamans generally have. Now let's dig into Defiler. So we have a Defiler here, and we'll start with the group buffs just like normal. So we have 3 group buffs. We have instead of max health and mit, which is what normally the other group buffs of the other priests get. Instead of max health, you get a regenerating ward for elemental, noxious, and arcane damage. So it's all the elements, and it's 213 points of damage that regenerates. So every server tick, so say you deplete it, server tick rolls over, you get 213 damage or ward again. The other buff is similar to the other ones for priests, so you get stamina and some sort of resist. In this case, for shamans, you get, or for defiler specifically, you get Nox. I think it's also the same for mystic. And then your third buff is strength and stamina. So strength is primary stat for tanks. Stamina, of course, is HP. So other buffs that you can apply to your group are, we'll actually start with Harbinger. Harbinger gives max power and stamina, so extra HP buff that you can put on someone. Also gives some max power. And then we have two kind of procs. So Tendrils of Horror is a damage shield that is going to decrease the damage, haste, and combat mit of whatever you're attacking. So you're going to want to put this on your tank, and then whenever stuff hits your tank, it's going to debuff that mob. Invective is a it's just a dot that triggers 24-second dot, 75 damage, and it procs a lot. So it's actually really good for like AoE and stuff like that, because you can put a dot on everything in AoE, since the trigger chance is pretty high. So get a damage proc that you can put on one other person in your group. So some namesake skills outside of those group buffs and things. You get this crystallized soul, which is pretty interesting. So this is a group buff, and it says on kill, this spell has a 60% chance to cast crystallized soul. Let's see if I actually procced one. Yeah, I did. Yep. All right. So anytime I kill anything, I have a chance of getting one of these crystallized souls, and as you can see, so it's just a consumable, and I can use it. It heals everyone in the group, and then it says it dispels 31 levels of hostile effects, so it's a cure. The cool thing is, since it's a consumable, it can be used while you're stunned or stifled. So when you normally can't cast spells, you'll be able to use this to break out of it, cure yourself, and heal your group members. So if you're a DPS and you have, or just anyone honestly, and you're in a Defilers group, make sure you drag this to your hotbar and have a hotkey for it, because it will come in use, especially in raids and things like that, but really nice. So that is, wait, and I think this may apply to the, oh no, it says it's group AoE. I was gonna say it may apply to the entire raid, but nope, it's just a group buff. All right, so generally you're gonna get a little bit more debuffs on a Defiler than, like, say, a Mystic. You do have one more DPS spell. You have 5 DPS spells versus 4. Oh, I didn't talk about this as well, but I'll do it while we're doing this. So we also get Maelstrom, which is kind of a namesake skill. It's encounter damage and a dot, but it also is it heals the group over time and increases the group power over time. So super good. The cool thing is as you notice, this guy's dead, but Maelstrom is still going because it's a toggleable thing. So you can see now it's on recast, but pretty nice damage ability that also provides a lot of utility for the group. Let's look at it in more detail. So damage over time, power drain, heal over time, and power regen over time. So super nice. Other than that, you get, if you don't count that one, you get, just 4 damage abilities, just like the Mystic. But generally you're going to be debuffing the mob a little bit more, because you've got your invective, or your tendrils that's going to be going off. So yeah, that's kind of Defiler. If you look at the buffs that a Defiler has, it really lends towards tanks, right? Because you get strength and stamina. So really good, or ideal, I guess, if you're going to use a Defiler, to have them in the main tank group, to buff up the main tank. But generally over time, I'll say Mystics do get a number of extra buffs that make them a little bit more desirable than Defilers. But we'll go into that in a minute when we talk about Mystics. So that's Defilers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about the second Shaman. Also wear a chain. This is the Mystic. So let's start just with the group buffs. So you'll notice that the Mystics buff, instead of warding against elemental damage, it wards against physical damage, which is overall just better, because auto attacks are physical damage, so that's going to be absorbed a little bit more often in normal scenarios. Their second buff, stamina mitigation versus knocks, just like Defilers. And then their third group buff is strength and stamina as well. You can see that stamina is a little bit more than the Defiler one. I think it's not double, but maybe like 80% more stamina. So a little bit more HP. That could be due to AAs. I'm not 100% positive. They also get a stamina and max power buff, similar to Harbinger on Defiler. And in terms of other buffs that they can give to the group, they get this ancestral avatar, which is agile, strength, and stamina, so good for scouts and tanks. Just extra buff to primary stat and HP, which is really nice. When it comes to namesake skills, one of the things you will notice about the flat heals on Mystics is that they increase your max health for a little bit as well. So for about 5 seconds you get like a little bit of a max HP buff, and it stacks. So if I use all 3 of my flat heals, I'll get 3 little bumps to my max HP for a little bit. So a little added bonus to flat heals if you are a Mystic. You of course get normal wards as well. Other namesake abilities, they get a Noxious ward. So any sort of Noxious AoEs or Noxious damage, they can use this as a specific ward against those abilities. They get Lunar Attendant, which is actually really interesting. It's a little bear that comes out, kind of follows you around. It actually heals an AoE, so it just does a little heal over time in AoE. That's actually pretty nice in certain group and raid scenarios. You can see it's like pumping out little heals, because it actually heals an AoE. So if you're in a raid, you got 24 people all stacked up on top of you who are right near you. When you cast Lunar Attendant, it's going to be healing people in AoE, which is nice. And one of the final really good namesake skills is Operon. It's a toggleable thing. So you have your normal wards, and then you also have Operon you can put on someone. It lasts for I think 15 seconds ish. Let's see, 16 seconds. But it's a regenerating ward. Which means essentially every server tick it'll regenerate some of the ward. I'm not sure if it regenerates all of it. It does have a recurring power cost, so it's gonna drain your mana while you have that up. And it's got a decently long recast, but really nice. Just an extra ward on top of their single target group wards. You can put it on the main tank, and or put it on someone in your group to make sure that they survive. Maybe you don't have any tanks in your group, but you have a scout that's kind of in on some of the AoEs and things. You can throw Oberon on them to help them stay alive. When it comes to just DPS in general, you get 4 DPS spells. You do a little bit more damage to, so you get, it's like a dot, but you do a little bit more damage to Nightbloods and Shadowed folk, which there's not a ton of that in this expansion at least. Well, I guess there is some towards the back of this zone. Actually, there's Nightbloods and things like that. So when it comes to just personal DPS, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage, but I will say in later expansions, Shamans generally, their DPS does increase because you get a pet. You get AAs to buff that pet. So your pet will be in there attacking, and it does a whole lot of other stuff I won't even go into, but that's really good. Mystics, eventually their spells get turned into melee abilities, or you can with AAs, so you can go in and wail away on stuff from a melee perspective. One of the things that I will mention, even though it's not in this expansion, is Shamans do eventually get this spell called Bolster. They're not Shamans, Mystics. Bolster is insanely good. It's a huge, and I'll just show it to you real quick, because I think it really does change. It increases all attributes by 17.4% or 3%, which is a huge damage boost. It's a huge HP boost as well. Really nice for, I don't know, on the pool for a big raid mob, or just buffing up your big DPSers. Bolster is such a good thing. And it just synergizes so well with a lot of other DPS-y things that it really makes Mystics shine over Defilers, really. But yeah, that is Mystic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure again to watch my other priest videos if you're interested in Druids or Clerics, as well as the priest basic videos if you want to look at some of the similarities that all priests share. So you just have an idea on if you do want to play a priest, and if you do, which priest you should pick for Varsoon. If you have any comments or like this video, like it, comment, subscribe to my channel, and press the notification bell for updates whenever new content is available. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.